Brain disease, Parkinson's Part 2, treatment. So, first to start off, the treatment of Parkinson's disease is complex and challenging because it has a wide range of symptoms, the severity of the disease, and because of its progressive nature. And the plan for people who have Parkinson's disease, their treatment plan has to be altered constantly because of the disease's progressive nature. And the treatment also varies per person to person, since with Parkinson's disease, not everybody has the same symptoms or not all of the symptoms. And finally, the cost of Parkinson's disease treatment is extremely costly. Drugs per year for Parkinson's disease patients all over the world equal to $5.6 billion and run to $1,000 to $6,000 per patient, and that's only for 1 year. And hospitals cost $50,000 to $60,000, and nursing homes $100,000 and above. And finally, a variety of treatments are used with Parkinson's disease because it affects many different areas of the brain. And like I said earlier, it'll vary per situation. And with that variety of treatments, I would also like to add in that a different treatment will be used to target something else. For example, you might have a therapy for speech, or a therapy for like physical therapy to help you walk, versus just targeting the disease in total. Now let's move on for those and move on to one of the primary treatments for Parkinson's disease, which is drugs. So like I said before, drugs is the primary use of treatment. Now, with that, the two mainstay drugs, or the first mainstay drug is levodopa. Now, it was found in 1957 by Dr. Carlson of Sweden that levodopa could reverse the effects of Parkinson's disease in lab animals. And it was also found in 1960 that Parkinson's disease patients had dopamine deficiency, and levodopa is a form of dopamine. And another way to say that something is it is a form of dopamine, in more scientific terms, it is a dopamine precursor. So I'll write that off to the side. with this, you were probably wondering, well, why don't they just insert dopamine directly into the patients? Well, dopamine, if injected directly into the patient, cannot pass the blood-brain barrier, but levodopa can. Now, when levodopa enters the brain, it works just like a natural dopamine. So, all in all, you would think that, well, levodopa is perfect. It's a cure for Parkinson's disease, but it is not, because levodopa is only temporary, so it does not stop the disease itself, and it does allow the disease to progress, so it is not a cure. Now, well, you're probably expecting that, like, well, wouldn't they just take it regularly if it, well, doesn't last since it's temporarily? Well, they do take it regularly, but still it cannot be classified as a cure because their disease will still get worse. Another drug treatment was introduced when people started using levodopa and carbidopa together, which are introduced as Sinemet. Now, Sinemet offers more dopamine and for more areas of the body. But Sinemet is very hard to subscribe because it also, like levodopa, is still not classified as a cure, though it is a little bit better. It causes on and off stages with Parkinson's patients, where at one point it will be working perfectly, but at the other it won't be working at all. So it's very hard to prescribe. Now, these mainstay drugs that we use today can't do all, so they are taken over with other various drugs, which vary by the patient. Now, let's move on to yet another form of treatment. So, another form of treatment for Parkinson's is surgery, which you probably would have guessed. So surgery first started in 1930. Parkinson's disease surgery, I should say, was introduced in 1930. And in this, they decreased tumors and symptoms by making lesions at various points, but resulted in more problems and paralysis. And by the 1960s, doctors knew more about which areas of the brain to target and focused on the globus pallidus and the thalamus.
You're still working on it?
Now I have to start over.
Why?
Because I was in the middle of it.
And what happened?
And you started talking.
Say, you filming?
Yes, I'm filming right now. I was this far.
Can you just delete the part?
Yeah, I'll delete the part, so I'm going to wait like 5 seconds. Now, levodopa, though, which was discovered around this time, then stopped the need for this because it was thought to work so well, but now we continue the use of it. And with this past area of surgeries, today we still do the same thing. We make lesions in the brain. But we do not have specific targets like globus pallidus and thalamus because we use MRI scans nowadays, which helps pinpoint exactly where to make lesions but is dangerous still like it was then. But the most two types that we use today are pallidotomy and deep brain stimulation. And finally, let's move a little back to the, finally, let's work on talking about the treatments, not the treatments. Now, let's talk about some of the therapies used. So, just like all of these treatments that we have mentioned, therapies will be different from person to person. And for these therapies, like if you have speech problems, you will do so. If you have physical problems, you will do that. Or social problems. So I'll write that down. But a common one that is used by all, since Parkinson's disease affects the motor system, is Tai Chi, which is it's Asian and it's very slow. It's like a yoga, but you use very slow movements to open up your joints. Now, let's move on to what it's like living with Parkinson's disease. Now let's talk a little bit about what it's like living with Parkinson's disease. So as you can imagine, Parkinson's disease is something very hard to live with. And it really, even with treatment, Parkinson's disease affects nearly every aspect of a Parkinson's disease patient's daily life. It is emotionally and physically challenging and isolating. It calls for plenty of life changes and adjustments, and that's why the future of Parkinson's disease is so important. But you know, hard I feel is like an understatement for this. I think that living with Parkinson's disease is just, it's undescribable in words, but a complete life change. Now let's focus on the future of Parkinson's disease. Well, the future for Parkinson's disease today is looking very bright as plenty of new research is being done. And before, research couldn't really be done because there was a huge lack of funding. So let's get into it. So they're doing research into the diagnosis of Parkinson's disease to be better able to diagnose it. The causes of Parkinson's disease, because if you know the cause of Parkinson's disease, it will make it easier to treat it. And then along with that, the treatment, how to find a cure for it. And growth factors of Parkinson's disease. Why is Parkinson's disease so progressive? Why does it grow? Why does it nourish? And stem cells, which is a form of treatment that is very big, so I decided to include it by itself. Stem cell research is also being done to cure cancer. And gene therapy, because Parkinson's disease, like I said earlier, comes from a gene mutation in some people and through their genes. So they're also trying to improve existing surgeries, because the surgery that we kind of use today is by making lesions into the brain, which people started using in the 1930s. And of course, it's more effective than it was in the 1930s, but still using the same technique hasn't proven as effective as it should. Thank you for watching my Parkinson's videos, and stay tuned for more brain disease videos, as up next I have coming Alzheimer's Part 1.